What's going on, folks? We got a big one for you guys today. So first, we need to talk about those Saudi Arabia and Russian oil cuts. Here, check it out.
Dan, I mean, look, you've done some absolutely fantastic work in Vienna over the weekend. There's no doubt about it. You got the interview that everyone wanted as well. But I just can't help thinking that His Royal Highness won't be happy with the price reaction. It's not quite what I guess he would have hoped for.
Well, I think it's interesting, right, Steve? So this decision shouldn't necessarily come as too much of a shock to the market, because if you read between the lines and listen into what His Royal Highness said only a few days ago in Qatar, he warned against betting against him, right? Saying that the shorts were going to get squeezed. And if you read into that commentary, it basically suggests that he came into this meeting looking and wanting a production cut, looking for and wanting a production cut. And that's exactly what we've seen. Oil prices popping today. Okay, perhaps not to the extent that he would have liked, but still getting a boost after the OPEC Plus ministers decided to roll over their production curbs into 2024. And at the same time, the Saudi energy minister giving this market what he called the Saudi lollipop. That is an additional 1 million barrel cut to production starting next month, with the option to continue to extend that production cut. It very much means that Saudi Arabia is still ultimately in control of this group's production levels.
Right after Saudi Arabia and Russia announced supply cuts for August, boom, oil prices shot up like crazy. It totally overshadowed concerns about a global economic slowdown and even the potential for higher U.S. interest rates. Saudi Arabia, not one to shy away from making big moves, they just announced that it's extending its voluntary cut of 1 million barrels per day for another month. Yeah, you heard that right, guys. Another month. The state news agency dropped the bombshell, and let me tell you guys, it caught everybody's attention. Russia followed soon after announcing a reduction in their oil exports by a whopping 500,000 barrels per day in August. That's right, guys. They were tightening the global supplies and joining forces with Saudi Arabia. It's kind of like a tag team effort to boost those oil prices. Now, why would they be doing all this? Well, both Riyadh and Moscow have been working together, and they've been working very hard to prop up prices. I mean, imagine Brent crude dropped by $113 per barrel just a year ago. That's a pretty significant drop, right? And it's all because of concerns about the economy and oversupply from major producers. But hey, they're not giving up. They're determined to turn things around and to get those projections back on track for a $100 per barrel crude. You guys remember that last year, right? Yeah, gas prices were a nightmare back then. So yeah, consuming nations like the United States are not holding back their complaints. They're pointing the fingers at OPEC, or at the OPEC and its allies, accusing them of making things even worse. Now they're saying that it's causing inflation to skyrocket and jeopardizing our delicate economic recovery. Even the International Energy Agency has condemned them, calling it a siege on vulnerable consumers. It's definitely stirring up some heated debates over there. Now on a brighter note though, yes, gas prices are dropping again, just in time for all you holiday travelers. Now, who doesn't love just a little bit of extra savings, am I right? Now, according to AAA, the average price for a gallon of gasoline across the country is now sitting at $3.53 a gallon, which is down 4 cents from last week. But here's the thing, guys. Experts are warning us to brace ourselves because things might change soon. Energy is the lifeblood of any economy. I mean, think about everything you use or consume. How did the food on the shelves get there? It's definitely much bigger than the gas prices for your vehicle. But yeah, as we head into the final stretch of the summer next month, gasoline prices might face some additional pressure. So if you're planning a road trip, you might want to keep an eye on that one. But see, the thing is, the US has plenty of oil and natural gas. Now, I wonder why they aren't doing more to get that. What do you guys think? Should the government be prioritizing local gas supply? Drop a quick comment, yes or no, down below. And hey, do not worry, I got you guys' back. I'm here to help you guys find the cheapest gas near you. That's right, guys. There's an app and an interactive map that basically is going to guide you straight to those sweet deals that they have on gas. So buckle up, hit the road. Let's get some money saving while you're at it, right? Also, by the way, if you own a home, make sure your home is protected. Get your free home warranty quote. There's a link in the description down below this video. So here's the deal. Saudi Arabia decided to slash its oil supply to the global economy. They're taking matters into their own hands to prop up the sagging price of crude. This comes after previous cuts to supply by major producing countries in the OPEC Plus alliance failed to give oil the boost it needs. Starting in July, Saudi Arabia cut a whopping 1 million barrels per day. And the other OPEC Plus producers, in a recent meeting in Vienna, agreed to extend earlier production cuts through next year. But Saudi industry minister in a recent news conference referred to this new reduction as a lollipop. He said they wanted to ice the cake and emphasized that the cold cut would be extended. They're calling it their commitment to doing whatever it takes to bring stability to the market. Now, in the short term, this move is likely to push up oil prices. But what happens after that will depend on whether Saudi Arabia decides to extend the cut. Now, according to George Leon, Senior Vice President of Oil Markets Research at Rystad Energy, the cut provides a floor price because Saudis can play with a voluntary cut as much as they like. But here's a really important part for all of us drivers out here, right? This move could mean that gas prices won't be getting any cheaper. In fact, they might become marginally more expensive. Yeah, that's right, guys. The slump in oil prices that we've been enjoying, giving us just a little bit of relief from inflation, could be coming to an end. The simple fact that Saudi Arabia felt the need for another cut just goes to show the uncertain outlook for fuel demand in the months ahead. There are concerns about economic weakness in the United States and Europe, and even China's rebound from C-19 restrictions hasn't been as robust as many had hoped. It's a very complex situation, and it's playing out on the global stage. So, what does all this mean for us? Well, get ready for some potential fluctuations in gas prices. The decisions made by Saudi Arabia and the OPEC Plus alliance have a direct impact on our wallets. And as they say, the devil's in the details. While OPEC Plus has announced significant production cuts on paper, the actual reduction in global supply is around 3.5 million barrels per day, or over 3%. So it's no small number, you guys. You see, the previous cuts to oil supply didn't quite give Saudi Arabia the lasting boost in oil prices that they were hoping for. Sure, international benchmark Brent crude made its way up to a staggering $87 per barrel, but it couldn't hold on to those gains. These days, it's been loitering below $75 a barrel. And even the US crude has recently dipped below $70. That's quite a roller coaster, guys, isn't it? But hey, let's talk about the silver lining here. The falling energy prices have been a blessing for US drivers as we kick off the summer travel season. Prices at the pump are averaging $3.55, down a whopping $1.02 from a year ago. Now, that's some serious savings right there. And it's not just the US feeling the relief. Inflation in the 20 European countries that use the euro has dropped to its lowest level since before Russia invaded Ukraine. Now, let's go ahead and dive into the Saudi perspective, right? So the Saudis have ambitious development projects in mind to diversify their economy, and for that, they need sustained high oil revenue. The International Monetary Fund estimates that the kingdom needs oil to be priced at $80.90 per barrel just to meet its envisioned spending commitments. Now, this includes their grand $500 billion futuristic desert city project called NEOM. I know, crazy, right? But here's an interesting twist. The U.S. has recently announced oil purchases to replenish its strategic petroleum reserve. Remember when President Biden made the largest release from that reserve in American history last year? Well, this move suggests that the U.S. officials might be less worried about OPEC cuts than they were in the past. Now, let's talk about the delicate balance between oil producers like Saudi Arabia and the impact of higher prices on oil-consuming countries. When oil prices soar too high, it can fuel inflation, leading to a decrease in consumer purchasing power. Now, that is not good news for anybody. It could even push central banks like the U.S. Federal Reserve to consider future interest rate hikes, potentially slowing down economic growth. Oh, and of course, let's not forget about Russia. Higher crude prices can complicate trade for the world's third largest oil producers if they can exceed the $60 per barrel price cap imposed by the group of 7 major democracies. Under the OPEC Plus deal, Russia has committed to extending its voluntary cut of 500,000 barrels a day through next year, or so they say. Now, according to the International Energy Agency, Moscow's total exports of oil and refined products reached a post-invasion high of 8.3 million barrels per day in April, meaning that they may be moving oil through some other unofficial means, if you know what I mean. Now, going back to the US, gas prices drop again for holiday travelers. How and where to save as you hit the road. Now, that's what we want to know, especially for those who have summer holiday plans that involve some cross-country driving, right? So last I checked, the average price for a gallon of gas across the country, according to AAA, was $3.53 a gallon, which is down 4 cents a gallon from last week. Now, Patrick DeHaan, head of petroleum analysis at Gas Buddy, he had this to say about where gas prices are going. Quote, just ahead of Independence Day, the national average has fallen to its lowest level since late April, with oil prices remaining under considerable pressure due to a cloudy outlook for the global economy. We could see gasoline prices under some additional pressure soon, especially as we head into the closing innings of summer next month. For now, gasoline demand will likely ramp up as we enter the peak of the summer, with millions of Americans set to take to the road with some of the season's lowest average gasoline prices. Now, at the halfway point of this year, the national average is right at a level we anticipate for a full year average. Now, while that's good news, I believe that we may see prices close out the second half of the year below our expectations, which would be welcome news for motorists. And the possibility exists that the national average this fall could fall under $3 a gallon, end quote. Something to keep in mind for your travel plans, guys. And with that being said, there are some ways that you can find cheap gas near you. Now, of course, some of you guys know about Gas Buddy, right? It's an app to show motorists prices around them, and basically it's a fuel tracker, and it can update users on stations that have or don't have fuel based on supply changes. Now, there's also interactive maps that you can visit online. They got one for Florida with data from AAA to see the average gas price by county. Just hover over an area and the gas price pops up. Keep in mind though, that there may be a little bit of lag in the data, but it's still pretty helpful. But let's face it guys, oil and gas prices drive our economy. When they're affordable, we tend to spend more because we have extra cash in our pockets. It's just basic economics. And here's the truth, Saudi Arabia is running out of oil. They've been pumping it out like there's no tomorrow. And our current administration, well, let's just say that they seem a little bit more interested in buying oil from them rather than pumping our own. It's as if they've forgotten the 50-year agreement that we have with Saudi Arabia to price oil in dollars. But with the BRICS hitting like, well, a brick, Saudi Arabia seems to have pledged its alliance to China. They've turned their backs on us, and it's not sitting well with a lot of Americans. Now, as they plan to slash oil prices and barrels per day, it's going to have some consequences. So brace yourself, folks, because oil prices are going to rise. And you know what's unique about this situation? They're heading into a downturn, and economies around the world are shrinking. Definitely lots more developments to expect in my future updates, guys, especially about oil and gas prices. But hey, let's do a quick survey right here, right now. How are gas prices where you're at? Seen any big spikes lately? Drop a quick comment down below. Last time one of you guys gave a heads up about TD Bank having a serious issue with direct deposits a few weeks ago, and recently the bank had a widespread debit card outage. I'm not sure if the same happened with credit cards, but yeah, these are the kind of updates that we want from you guys. You know, if mainstream media is not going to cover it, then we need to be our own boots on the ground to provide information to our community so that we know what's really up. So yeah, guys, keep those updates and those questions coming, as well as your requests for future content. You know, the comment section is always wide open for you guys. I really appreciate that. But I told you guys, this is a big one. But that's it for today's oil and gas prices update. Saudi Arabia and Russia making big moves that could affect gas prices this summer driving season, where and how to get the cheapest and nearest gas, and some of my thoughts and insights on that matter. I hope you guys got all that. Feel free to watch this video again if you need to. Now, we also have some other videos on the channel that you guys can definitely check out. As always, appreciate you guys watching. Thank you for hitting the like button. I really appreciate that. And I'm gonna see you guys on the next one.